Okay, good, good day to everyone. Ngayon, pag-aaralan natin itong Corporation Code of the Philippines. Mas magandang maintindihan nyo na muna yung source ng ating discussion. So, saan ba nanggagaling yung mga basis ng computation natin? Kaya nga yung partnership and corporation is combination of law and accounting. So, pag-aralan natin yung batas na sumasakop sa mga corporation. Before we have the Batas Pambansa Bilang 68, which is the Corporation Code of the Philippines. Pero na-revise na ito noong 2019 by Republic Act number 11232, which is known as the Revised Corporation Code of the Philippines. So, yung definition ng corporation, that a corporation is an artificial being created by operation of law, having the rights of succession and powers, attributes, and properties expressly authorized by law or incidental to its existence remain the same. The classes of corporation here, the corporations under Section 3 of the Revised Corporation Code. Corporations formed or organized under this code may be stock or non-stock corporations. Stock corporations are those which have capital stock divided into shares and are authorized to distribute to the holders of such shares dividends or allotments of the surplus profits on the basis of the shares held. All other corporations are non-stock corporations. So, kung nag-i-issue ng certificate of stocks or certificates of share, then that is a stock corporation. Kung wala naman, ang tawag doon sa mga may hawak ng certificate of shares of stocks ay shareholders or stockholders. Kung walang ganon, ang tawag sa kanila ay members at ang corporation nila ay non-stock corporation. Corporations created by special laws or charters. Corporations created by special laws or charters may be governed primarily by the provision of the special law or charter creating them or applicable to them, supplemented by the provisions of this code insofar as they are applicable. Ito yung mga ang Congress ang gumagawa ng corporation. So if it is a creation of Congress, then hindi ang corporation code ang mag-a-apply, kundi yung special law na nag-create doon sa corporation na yon. Okay? Corporators and incorporators, stockholders and members. Definition na ito ng mga terms na ito. Corporations are those who compose a corporation, whether as stockholders or shareholders in a stock corporation, or as members in a non-stock corporation. So, incorporators are those stockholders or members mentioned in the articles of incorporation as originally forming and composing the corporation and who are signatories thereof. So, lahat ng incorporators are corporators. Pero hindi lahat ng corporators ay incorporators. So, ang corporators ay lahat ng shareholders or stockholders or members in a non-stock corporation. Lahat sila ang tawag doon ay corporators. Pero yung incorporators are corporators mentioned in the articles of incorporation. Sila yung originally nag-form ng corporation. So tandaan nyo na lang, corporators are stockholders or members. Incorporators are those stockholders or members mentioned in the articles of incorporation. So, Classification of shares. The classification of shares, their corresponding rights, privilege, or restrictions, and their stated par value, if any, must be indicated in the articles of incorporation. Each share shall be equal in all respects to every other share except as otherwise provided in the articles of incorporation and in the certificate of stock. The shares in stock corporation may be divided into classes or series of classes or both. No share may be deprived of voting rights except those classified and issued as preferred or redeemable shares. So, dapat lahat ng shares may voting rights except preferred or redeemable shares. Okay? Holders of non-voting shares shall nevertheless be entitled to vote on the following matters: amendment of the articles of incorporation, adoption and amendment of bylaws, sale, lease, exchange, mortgage, pledge, or other disposition of all or substantially all of the corporate property, incurring, creating, or increasing bonded indebtedness, increase or decrease of authorized capital stock, merger or consolidation of the corporation with another corporation or other corporations, investment of corporate funds in other corporation or business in accordance with this code, dissolution of the corporation, except as provided in the immediately preceding paragraph, yung mga nasabing karapatan. The vote required under this code to approve a particular corporate act shall be deemed to refer only to stocks with voting rights. So, kailangan naka-indicate itong mga rights na to dun sa articles of incorporation, para makaroon sila nitong mga rights na ito, yung mga holders ng preferred shares. Otherwise, only to stocks with voting rights, common stocks lang yon, ma-assign ng mga karapatan. The shares or series of shares may or may not have a par value. So par value is not a prerequisite for the issuance of share, provided that banks, trusts, insurance, and pre-need companies, public utilities, building and loan associations, and other corporations authorized to obtain or access funds from the public, whether publicly listed or not, shall not be permitted to issue no par value shares of stocks. So, general rule, there is no need for a par value to be indicated in the shares of stocks. Exception, ito yung banks, trust, kapag ang nag-i-issue ng shares of stocks or nangunguha ng investment for the public, from the public, ay ang banks, trust, insurance, pre-need companies, public utilities, building and loan associations, and other corporations authorized to obtain or access funds from the public, whether publicly listed or not. So kasi nakakakuha kagad sila sa public ng funds by mere issuance or by mere promotion of the shares of stock. Preferred shares of stock issued by a corporation may be given preference in the distribution of dividends and in the distribution of corporate assets in case of liquidation or other such preferences. So it should be indicated in the articles of incorporation. Ano bang preferences? Meron niyang preferred stock na yan. So, provided that only preferred shares of stocks may be issued only with stated value. So, kapag common or ordinary shares, common stock or ordinary shares, it doesn't have to have par value. Pero kapag preferred siya, meron siya dapat na par value. The board of directors who are authorized in the articles of incorporation may fix the terms and conditions of preferred shares of stock or any series thereof. Okay, kung wala sa sa articles of incorporation yung preference stock rights or privileges, the board of directors may fix the term and conditions of the preferred shares of stocks. Okay, provided further that such terms and conditions shall be effective only upon filing of a certificate thereof with the Securities and Exchange Commission. How much should the value of the capital stock or share capital? Shares of capital stock issued without par value shall be deemed fully paid and non-assessable, and the holder of such shares shall not be liable to the corporation or to its creditors in respect thereto, provided that no par value shares must be issued for a consideration of at least 5 pesos per share. Provided further that the entire consideration received by the corporation as to its no par value share shall be treated as capital and shall not be available for distribution as dividends. Lahat ng tinanggap na pera in consideration for a no par value, yung lahat ng yon ay capital and it cannot be made available for the distribution as dividend. So the minimum value or consideration for no par value share is 5 pesos. Wala nga yung par value pero you cannot issue that below 5 pesos. A corporation may further classify its share for the purpose of ensuring compliance with the constitutional or legal requirements. So tandaan muna natin, review natin itong provision na to. Ano ba yung natutunan natin dito? Yung preferred, all stock should have voting rights except preferred shares of stock. So, kailangan may voting rights yung mga shares of stocks. Otherwise, walang boboto kapag mayroong election. Pero there are some stocks that which need not have voting rights, katulad ng preferred shares of stocks. Pero itong mga preferred shares of stock, meron silang mga corresponding preferences which should be indicated in the articles of incorporation. The stock may be issued for a no par value provided that the consideration of a no par value share shall not be less than 5 pesos. Ito yung ibang klase ng shares of stock. Founder shares. Founder shares may be given certain rights and privileges not enjoyed by owners of other stocks, where the exclusive right to vote and be voted for in the election of directors is granted. It must be for a limited period, not to exceed 5 years. So, yung founder shares, meron silang privilege. Meron silang right to vote and be voted in the election of directors. Pero within 5 years lang yung rights na yon. Okay, redeemable shares. Redeemable shares may be issued by a corporation when expressly provided in the articles of incorporation. So, kailangan naka-indicate sa articles of incorporations. They are shares which may be purchased by the corporation from the holders of such shares upon the expiration of a fixed period. So, dun sa shares of stock, may nakalagay na fixed period within which on which period pwedeng ma-redeem ng corporation. Regardless of the existence of unrestricted retained earnings in the books of the corporation and upon such other terms and conditions stated in the articles of incorporation and the certificate of stock representing the shares, subject to the rules and regulation issued by the commission. So dapat nandun sa face of the stock na naka-indicate hindi lang dun sa articles of incorporation, pati na dun sa certificate of stock that such is a redeemable share. So ano naman yung treasury shares? Treasury shares are shares of stocks which have been issued and fully paid for, but subsequently reacquired by the issuing corporation through purchase, redemption, donation, and some other lawful means. Such shares may again be disposed of for a reasonable price fixed by the board of directors. So, yung redeemable shares, pag ni-redeem yun, automatically part na yon ng treasury shares. Pero yung ordinary shares of stock, issued and outstanding, pwede yung bilhin ulit ng corporation. At pwede rin uling ibenta ng corporation. Once binili ng corporation pabalik yung originally issued outstanding shares of stocks, then that becomes a treasury share. Incorporation and organization of private corporation. Okay, stop muna tayo dito. Pause muna tayo. Doon lang muna tayo sa Title 1. Then we'll discuss Title 2.